You have a gorgeous camera that costs several $1,000s. You studied the different shots, angles, and framing used in Hollywood movies to recreate that look. You learned stuff about technical parameters like ISO, 4K, shutter speed, and so on. But your footage still looks like a YouTube video. I feel you. And don't get me wrong, understanding all the mentioned aspects is crucial when it comes to high quality filmmaking and cinematography. And the equipment they use to film Interstellar is not necessarily what you have at home. But sometimes I figure and realize with personal experience that solutions can be very simple. Too simple for you to even think about them. My own story goes back to when I was playing around with my beautiful Sony Alpha camera, which captures great pictures, beautiful footage and great results, and I simply knew and have seen that this camera is actually good. And I knew that this camera was sometimes even used in like professional filmmaking. I mean, it costs quite a lot too, okay? But my footage still looked really vloggy and I didn't know why. By that time I've learned that the correct record settings in terms of ISO, shutter speed, aperture values, and color space were important for getting the best out of your footage while recording for later use in post-production. I also knew that lighting could actually do a lot and that color grading was actually a big deal. And it definitely does. I just wish I was good at it myself. But one record setting didn't get the attention it needed for me to get the results I wanted. And that is the frame rate. Yes, the frame rate. We tend to think that more is always better, that a high frame rate will make my footage look cleaner and better, but that always depends on your intention. Back then I was filming with 50 FPS, which was basically adding an extra frame in between each frame my eyes need to process an image, thus making my footage look too smooth, unnaturally smooth and vloggy. You remember the times when all these YouTubers started buying these vlogging cams from like Sony or Canon, and one of them was like the Canon G7X Mark II. I have a 2 actually, and I noticed like now when I remember that people were like going crazy on it and it looked extra smooth. Like it looked really good for a vlogging cam, but it was like, you could tell people were like actually using 50 FPS for absolutely no reason at all. That's what I'm thinking about right now.
And this is where I have to interrupt myself because I was about to show you demonstrative footage of 50 and 100 FPS footage looking extra smooth, but while trying to integrate this in here, I realized that this is not actually possible. I learned something so fundamental again, how embarrassing. The reason is the video you're watching right now is edited and rendered in 25 FPS because the whole talking part is shot in 25 FPS. And everything else will be automatically processed in 25 FPS too, which will demolish the buttery smooth look of 50 FPS footage in real-time playback. If I wanted to picture that, I would have to render everything in 50 FPS, which makes no sense here, and my initial goal is to remain it in real time, hence keep the 50 FPS in footage, timeline, and render. But yeah, that's kinda impossible. I will use this moment to highlight the importance of record, edit, and render settings and your monitor capacities being on the same page. But yeah, movies are usually shot and rendered in 25/24 FPS, and that was actually my whole point from the start, so I deeply apologize for not bringing in all the example footage. We will have to work with slow-mo comparison and the stuttering of footage with a high frame rate in a lower frame rate timeline, which is a common problem too. If you want to see the extreme smoothness of a high frame rate video in real-time action though, I will link something below.
A high frame rate is useful when you want to do slow-mo shots in order to keep like a smooth image and smooth motion. Otherwise, your footage would look robotic and shaky. But usually for normal filmmaking without any intentions of time remapping, you want to film with 25 or 24 FPS. And I kid you not, the moment I switched my settings back to 25 FPS, my footage looked so much better. So much more cinematic. Suddenly I had a Tarantino masterpiece in my DaVinci Resolve preview window. Like almost. But it was so simple. And yet I had to think complicated first. Why are we humans like that? What was your mind-blowing, how did I not think about this moment in your filmmaking career? Or your career as an artist, musician, or creative person in general? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this short but yet insightful lesson. Don't forget to like and subscribe to not miss any other helpful life insights like this. And if you want to find out how to seem confident even when you're not really confident, then stay tuned and click on the next video that will pop up on the screen in a second.